good to be back. I wish I was doing this on campus, but yeah, this is still fine. So a bit background of myself. I'm Siddharth. I'm a pass out from 2019 batch, 17-19, 54th batch to be precise. I've been working with Uber post that, but prior to my MBA, I did my BTech in aerospace from IIST Trivandrum. And then I was working with ISRO in Calcutta for 32 months. Then did my MBA from IIM Cal, and here I am with Uber for the last 2.5 years again. So my entire profile, even in ISRO, has been more inclined towards operations because I was in the Calcutta plant, so which is more to do with the launch activities, etc. So it's more to do with the entire operations of receiving the hardware till the assembly of the rockets, etc. So it was more of a program management, project management kind of a role in ISRO. That is what I've shown in my CV, and then I got into the ops side of it because it's more exciting that way. So it's been 2.5 years with Uber, and it's still like day one. It's super exciting to work with a company that is of the scale. And there are a couple of various things that you do on a day-to-day basis, which keeps coming. You do new things every day. It's not like a traditional company that you work for. So there are two things, right? I mean, within ops or within a particular company, you grow, or when you switch companies also, there's a lot of scope within this operations field. So one is, for example, within the company, I started off in the city operations. So first, I was in Calcutta, in fact, post my MBA as well. I was there for 1 year. I was handling the east region of the operation for Uber. It was more to do with launching new cities, launching new products, handling high value products like the Premier, Excel, etc. And then from there, I transitioned to the central ops, where I'm currently handling the driver funnel, which starts from the driver onboarding till the driver's first 100 trips. So wherein you kind of deal with a lot of analytics there. You have few data scientists reporting to you. You work with the product team to get some kind of product fixes. You work with the marketing team to get some kind of a campaign that you want so that the drivers onboard themselves easier in an easier manner. So it's more to do with again program management, which is more likely with, it's like a stakeholder management wherein you do your analytics and you get some kind of insights and work with different teams to get that implemented. So this is my current role in Uber, and again, yeah, it's been exciting, and there is nothing like you get saturated in a particular role. There are dearth of other things that you could do in this field, especially. Unlike this traditional, what do you call, like there is a misconception also that operation is more to do with handling warehouse workers or something like that, right? It's entirely, I mean, I would not say it is false, but it is part of it. So basically what you do here is you kind of handle the entire business part of it. So you're closer to the business when you're in operations. You see the business grow right in front of your eyes. You take decisions based on what's happening on ground. So you are the sole person who understands from data. Again, operations, you need analytical mindset. You need a bent of mind towards numbers. Unlike the finance, that is totally into numbers, but this is slightly more towards how to derive some insights from what exactly is happening on ground and taking decisions based on that. So you're closer to business in this field. The other thing I would say is basically, let's say at my level, when we started off at a particular level, when you enter a particular company, you're more to do with getting more supply on ground.
Okay.
So basically you're working with ground staff, you're working with sales representatives on the ground to get more drivers on board or to get more vehicles on board, or you launch new cities. So you go to a particular city, do some market research, do some competitive benchmarking. So you are the person who's doing everything, and then you launch a new city, etc., etc. So you handle the particular city also. You grow the particular city from zero to wherever it is, right? So you take targets accordingly. So that is what happens in the lower level. Then one level up, you have people like us who kind of like you have some 3-4 people reporting to you, and you handle a particular hub. So let's say someone handles the entire East region. So that is another huge new responsibility in itself, because it is more to do with how much business you're handling, and you are more dealing with the market share in that particular part of the country. You're dealing with how much business you're bringing to the company, how much are you burning from your. So you can kind of handle the entire P&L or state. P&L of the particular region. One level above that is basically external stakeholder management. Like you work with the policy teams, you work with the local governments, you work with central governments. So it's more to do with stakeholder management. You work with the upper management as well. So at that level, you kind of directly take decisions for your particular region. Like how much to invest in that region. Should I even launch this particular city? You take that kind of decisions. So you have money in your hand. You kind of prioritize things on what to do, what not to do. It's basically that. And then there is GM level, which is a country head or something like that. So the growth is basically pretty steep here, because you're more closer to the business. You understand what's exactly happening. You know what is going wrong. You know the root causes. You fix them, and then you kind of grow the business. So, for example, a marketing guy would, for example, you're in a startup, and there is a growth role in a startup, which technically means marketing. So these people get, so the marketing team does a lot of stuff. They do their BTL, ATL or whatever, and they do the social media marketing, etc. They do get leads, but getting those leads onto the platform, converting them to whatever business metrics that you follow, improving the efficiency of the process, building dashboards, scaling the business from there is your job, is the job of the operations manager. So the marketing job ends at how many people they got. So basically it's more to do with how many leads they generated, or how many leads got converted for this much amount of money. That's the job of the marketing guys. But how did you convert? How many people you converted? How did you scale from there is what the ops guys do. So that's more to do with, for example, that's what happens in startups. But in e-commerce, it's slightly different. In e-commerce, it's more to do with, there are different roles in e-commerce. Like there is this warehouse role where you have to handle those 300 folks in the warehouse. You again work on improving the efficiency of the warehouse. You work on reducing the SLAs of package delivery or whatever. You work in reducing the defect rates, etc. All these things. These are more to do with efficiencies in the processes. Scaling these processes, automating these processes is what you do. This is more to do with, again, a particular the entry level people would do it in a warehouse, but again, you switch within the company, right? Like I know my friends who started off in e-commerce firms in the warehouses. They did this in-stock inventory management, etc., but now they're doing strategy within the company. Now people have moved across geographies within the companies. So the growth is tremendous because you are closer to business. I keep saying this, but that's the fact here. So I think two things. Prior to my MBA, I was just doing. I was doing partly operations, but I did not know how to kind of improve the efficiencies to the scale. It was more to do with getting the people, the technicians working, etc. It's more to do with making Gantt charts, for example. When would I get this? What should I do? The critical path method is what you do, but I did not know what a critical path method was pre-MBA. So all these things, I think MBA kind of helped me there, and also it put in a perspective of what I exactly wanted to do. So I was pretty sure that I was more inclined towards the business side of the of companies rather than just staying in, let's say, product. It's great that you build product, but the ops guy actually helps you get insights to build a particular product, to make some fixes in the product. So I was more inclined towards this side of the business, and I think MBA did help me putting that perspective into my mind. So yeah.
Okay.
And of course, the
So like,
management course, I think Piyush sir was the person who taught me. Yeah, it was interesting to kind of understand that. Even he keeps saying this, that most of the CEOs are ops guys in all the Fortune
yeah,
500 companies that we look. So I mean, that's I mean, I think that sums up the entire ops field that I mean you and I are talking about. So I mean that actually stuck in my head, and that's what I've been seeing also within the companies. That for example, even our CEO Dara is an ops guy, so it's like that. Majority of the interviews I've taken and I have given are mostly to do with analytical skills. It's mostly to do with how you break down a particular problem. It might not be exactly like how a consulting in case interview might look like, but it might slightly look like that. It's so for example, uh, pre-interview you might have to do a business case. So they would give you a business problem that they are facing. It can be for example, one of the companies that I was just trying to interview for, they kind of asked me to fix a problem wherein their vendors were not kind of aligned with the processes that these people have set, and they're getting a lot of return deliveries, and this was more to do with the fresh category, which is fruits and vegetables. So you can't be slack in these processes, right? I mean, fruits and vegetables, it's perishable. If you don't package them properly, they're gone in 2 days, right? The shelf life is so low. So that was a problem they were facing. So how do you solve this without additional costs to the company, right? Do you incentivize these people? Do you penalize these people? So you need to solve this problem. So it's more to do with these kind of business cases. In the interviews, they see how you break down this problem into smaller parts, and then they look at the structured thinking, and and of course they love data backed decision making. So whatever you say, you can't just say out of thin air. If you back your stuff with data, they would love it. So that is what the recruiter also wants to see in what you are capable of. It's they would throw some kind of a business problem at you. For example, if it is Uber, they would ask you, how do you price a particular product? And now let's say post COVID, what would you do to increase the demand or supply? So basically, they would not put it across so easily. They would say that the earnings per hour of a driver is falling. So what do you do? How do you improve it? So you break down the problem. What is earnings per hour? It's basically the number of hours is stayed online and how much is earned in that particular set of hours by divided by the number of hours, right? So if it is falling, what does it mean? So there is trips per hour fall, or is he getting shorter trips? So it depends on these multiple things, right? So you break down this problem, ask questions. It's most majorly to do with how do you communicate with them and understand the problem more, and how do you arrive at the root cause. So that's what they look at, and then post that if they give you some numbers, you just have to solve it for them. So this is what recruiters generally look at, and but there are a few companies which do not even ask business cases, especially one of the giant e-commerce firms. They just look at their leadership principles. So it's totally depends on what type of company you're interviewing for. But majority of these companies look for your analytical capabilities. So they just throw, they would give you, for example, even in Uber, you might have a Excel based analytics test. When is the summers? I'm not sure, but before summers, everyone who's applying for Uber will get analytics Excel sheet where you have to solve those problems within a particular time period. So most of these people, that's one of the filtering categories for most of the companies. And before joining Uber, I had literally no clue about what SQL was or SQL was. I was not from a background where I could code. I was not from CSE or something. I was from aerospace mechanical engineering. We just had C language in first year, and that's it. That's about it, right? So, but mostly in ops, you have to know at least SQL. Because you deal with a lot of data. You can't rely on data scientists to pull out even minute details of data for you. So you might have to pull, you might have to write queries and pull data out of your tables. So that was a shocker for me in the beginning because I was not expecting this. So but it was so interesting. We have tools within the companies which help you understand and learn SQL at a quicker pace. And now 2.5 years down the lane, I'm pretty fluent in writing SQL queries. But that is something which you need to know, which I did not know prior to joining Uber. Second thing is, like I said, right, I think I'm repeating myself when I say this, that it's not just warehouse management, it's not just handling people, it's not just handling sales executives or something. It's more to do with even building some kind of strategies out of the insights that you get from these on-ground folks, right? You get a lot of insights. You work with the product team to get those fixes. You work with the legal team to get some kind of unblock, right? So you become this generalist in the company because you know a lot of this stuff on what exactly is blocking your business there. So you want that particular bottleneck to be removed. So you work with a particular stakeholder to get that done. So in this last 2.5 years, stakeholder management is something which it's been a very good journey for me to grow professionally also, because stakeholder management is the most important thing when you get into higher levels, right? And it also, one of the other myths that I always keep hearing is tech companies do not have operations management, but even Google has operations management, even Amazon definitely would have, but even Microsoft would have operations management. It doesn't mean you're handling their offices. It doesn't mean you're handling their, for example, let's say for Google you might have roles ranging from supply chain management of their phones that they're manufacturing, or it can be more to do with product operations, which is a new role that's been created, which lies in between the business side and the product side. So these folks help the product teams to launch their products in different countries. So for a scale like Google, which is almost in the entire world, the product managers would create a product, but it's the job of the product operations folks to deliver the product in different regions. So they do A/B testing. So let's say they launch it in a particular region and they don't. It's not working like what they expected. They pull it back. So these are the folks who firefight, who launch products, who do A/B testing, who derive more kind of who kind of see what exactly is happening after the product launch. So this is what is the role of a product ops. So these are new roles that are coming up within operations management. What else? I think mostly that's about it. But one more thing is it should be math heavy and all. It's okay. You don't need to write differential equations or something, right? It's okay. You just need regressions, and that's about it, right? So it's not that math heavy, but it's interesting to work here as well. So for example, I have friends ranging from different areas. So for example, one of my seniors has gone to fintech company from Uber, and he is working in the strategy team of the fintech team. Because again, the understanding of the market, he's learned a lot about how the market works here, and that is helping him in launching a particular international fintech company in our country. So basically, that is something which is working on. I know people who have moved across geographies. So if you get stuck in India, you don't want to be in this particular market, you can switch jobs because there is a dearth of jobs in Europe and US if you're more inclined there. That require talent from India, and we are actually a pretty creamy layer of the folks when it comes to delivering and working, right? I mean, the work ethic that we have is far more superior, I would say, compared to what the European folks have. So that's where they are recruiting a lot of folks from our ops companies here to their generalist roles, to their leadership roles, like handling particular budget of, let's say, launching a particular country in itself. So they're giving these kind of responsibilities to people just one level above me. So it's like that. So it's interesting in that manner as well. The other thing is, even tech companies, like I said, Google is also hiring compared to earlier, misconceptions that ops, what has Google got to do with ops? It's not like that, right? So I know people who have moved to Google. I know people who have moved to e-commerce firms in Dubai. They're making millions there. So yeah. So it's interesting, and people are also moving towards product from here, because that's also one of my inclinations. Even I wanted to move to product because it's a desk job. You don't have to. It's almost similar to what you do. You're also handling stakeholders in product management, but the thing is, you're away from the business. So I again took a call of staying back in ops, but people moved to product from ops as well, because they helped the product teams build particular products, and they understood what the product managers do, and they did move, and they did mostly to move out of the country. So yeah. And again, you would do really good in early age startups. A lot of my batchmates have moved to early age startups, and you get these designations of AVPs and all that directly, because you work for a particular company and you know what. You've seen challenges, that the challenges that the early age startup did not see yet, but will see in the future. So those folks are hired at AVP levels, etc. So the exit operations are really good, and I think probably 6-7 years down the line you can become co-founders, because startups do hire for co-founder roles as well. So there are dearth of opportunities for ops. Or you can move to within your own company, you can move to strategy and ops within your company. So you can move towards what do you call, not exactly management consulting, but consulting within, internal consulting within your company. So for summers, basically it's just your CV, because there's nothing much the companies can actually find out more about you, and you just have a limited time period, and you won't be judged. You won't be having multiple rounds like what the lateral placements is. So the companies just look at your CV. So prep well on your CV is one. Second is, for companies like Amazon, do prep. Write answers for each and every leadership principles that they have. They are just looking at that. They do not ask business cases. And the third is for companies like Uber, Myntra, Flipkart, etc. It's more to do with you might get one business case out of it, and then they might not pose a difficult case right in front of you, but it's more to do with their current situation and how would you think it. So, for example, how would you think about solving a particular problem? Like post-COVID, Flipkart is seeing decline in the number of sales. What is happening? So you just have to break this problem. It's not exactly management consulting, but it's how do you break this big problem into smaller pieces. So that's what they see, that's what they judge you on. And personals, of course. You have your L1, L2s, etc. Right? So I think these are the 4 things that you need to concentrate on. But the priority that the companies would look at is your CV, your personals, and then this business case. So and thank you for inviting, and let the lakes to overflow this time. So the rains did cause the lakes to overflow, so that's a lucky sign. So hope that translates to how the summer placements go on.
My name is Harshil. I belong to Gujarat and I did my mechanical engineering from the Maharaja Sayajirao University in 2018. After that, I worked for 2 years at Maruti Suzuki and after that I joined IIM Calcutta. So I will start with the question that when did I start the prep? So I think I started during I think the prep committee organized the introduction to each sector. So at that time, I decided that I will go for the ops prep. And once I decided to go for the ops prep, I followed three-step process. Number one, what I did, I attended all the lectures or the sessions conducted by the operations club. I mean the prep sessions conducted by the operations club. The second, I made a group of around 6 to 7 people who were also interested into operations, and so we were discussing about the various topics and the current, basically the current topics which are relevant to the operations and supply chain domain. And we also used to divide the topics so that nobody gets the entire load. So that's the second step. And the third, I studied about the various business models of the e-commerce firms because when I saw the placement report of the previous years, most of the companies which come for the operations domain are from the e-commerce sector like Flipkart, Amazon, Grofers, and Udaan and everything. So I understood that business model, so it also helped me a lot. And talking about the resources, I didn't go through much of the resources because I didn't think that they were needed extensively for the ops prep. I just focused on the prep sessions conducted by operations committee and the additional discussions which we were having in a group. And just one last point. At the time of the interview, I mean, whenever we received the shortlist, I did seek help from the seniors, like which company asked which type of question and for which company what should we prepare for. So the first thing which is very common, it is not only for operations, but it is for all the domains that the recruiters will look for the cultural fit. So every company will be having its own ideology, its own principle and everything. So they will look, the first thing which they will look for is whether you are a right fit for that or not. So if I talk about Amazon, they will look for the 14 principles which Amazon has. If I talk about Flipkart, they are kind of biased towards entrepreneurship and everything. So the first thing which recruiters will look for is definitely the cultural fit. The second is that what I realized that they also look for your attitude. I mean, they will not look whether you got a question right or wrong, or maybe you know a particular definition or not. Rather, what they will look for your approach or attitude towards any problem. They will look for your problem solving skills, whether you will be able to fit into the company and you will be able to solve the problems. Yeah, so these are the two major things which they look for. First thing which I would suggest is give mock interviews as many as you can, because you will get confidence with each interview, and the confidence is very important because if you are underconfident, even if you know things, it will not reflect well on the interviewer side. And the second thing about how to acquire skills, what I used to do and what many of my friends used to do, we used to read about the company in advance. What are their cultural values? What are their the principles and mission statement and everything. And we try to mold our answers based on those principles. So every company will definitely ask some generic questions like, tell me about yourself, your biggest achievement in your work experience, or your biggest learning, something like that. So I try to mold my answers which will take care of the principles of that particular company. So I try to create synergy between both the things. So that really helped me a lot. Operations, the one myth is that only people with work experience get a favor or a biased treatment, but it is not like that. because most of the operations company do their shortlisting based on the assessment test or some kind of simulation game or something like that. So everybody will get an equal opportunity. If any company wants to select, I mean, if they are in favor of the work experience in their JD itself, that you cannot apply for this company because your work experience is on lower side. But as long as any company is not mentioning about any work experience criteria, they will be very fair and equal to everyone. So that is the biggest limit I want to burst. And the second thing is that many people think that operations will require very extensive prep, and you must be knowing so many concepts and so many complex things and definitions and everything. But as far as the summer placements are concerned, that is not the case. As long as you are well equipped with the prep sessions and some decent operations related topic and the business model of the company, you will be good to go. You don't require some complex operations related topics or definition. Yeah, so these are the two biggest myths. So I interned at Flipkart, and my domain was supply chain. And in supply chain in particular, my domain was hyper local. So let me talk about the problem statement, and I will talk about how what approach did I follow and how MBA helped me a lot. So my problem statement was very simple. So there is a concept of dark store, which Flipkart is having multiple dark stores across 6 to 7 cities. So my problem statement was that I need to utilize the container or bin which are used for putting the product in a dark store. So I need to create a mathematical model. So, and that mathematical model should solve around 1000 or 2000 equations as per my input value, and it should give me the output which will result in the maximum utilization of all the bins or the containers. So that was the problem statement. I had the data, and I had to work upon the equation, the constraint and everything. And I also need to think upon which tool can be used to get the output. So the one approach which I followed was that I used to arrange weekly meetings with my manager, and I used to show the progress and take his opinion that whether I'm doing right or wrong. Regarding the tools which I used Microsoft Excel and the Python, because since I had to solve so many equations at a single time, it was not possible in Microsoft Excel, so I had to use Python, or I could have used any other coding language. So these are the tools which were used by me. And how did MBA help me a lot? So during MBA we had one course on ITS. So at the time we used to learn so many things, and we also had a course operations research, in which we used to learn solver and how to solve linear equations and everything. So that thing really helped me a lot, because I had to create a dynamic model, because my inputs will be gone into the Microsoft Excel. The Python will be used only for the output purposes. So the learning from my MBA, like the Microsoft Excel and the course regarding the operations research, how to use a solver and everything, they helped me a lot. And second thing is that one thing which is quite unique with MBA is that one thing which really helped me a lot is that I used to take guidance from my friends as well, because there were many of my friends in MBA who were very good at Microsoft Excel and some other tools and everything. So I used to connect with them whenever I got stuck. So they also helped me a lot. So yeah, this is the one of the major benefits of MBA. You can connect with multiple people. Even you can connect with your seniors whenever you are stuck, and everybody will help you out. So yeah, this way MBA helped me out. One thing which I will definitely tell them that focus on your mock GD and the mock interviews, because in many of the companies they will not expect you to know every single answer. What they will look for, they will look for your confidence level, your positive approach, and you should not get stuck anywhere. So all the things will be taken care of if you have a good practice of mock interviews and mock theory. So yeah, focus on that.